Hi, welcome to Paper Fiore. My name is Kristen Sluin and I am so glad you're here. Today we are going to be making bulk cards and we're going to be making 7 gate folded cards with the brand new One Go Friendship Flowers stamp, die, and stencil set from ALTENEW. This is a genius product that they have made. It comes with the stamp set, it comes with dies, or it has dies, and it also comes with a stencil. And there's an extra little special stencil in there that I'll share with you later on in the video. And I absolutely love how this stencil comes out. Now, the next thing that we are also going to be getting that we're using is part of the Spring Serenade color paper group that ALTENEW is doing. So we have Lagoon, Volcano Lake. Our next color is Puffy Heart, Chamomile, and then we are also going to be using Bamboo, which is not part of that color group, but I absolutely love the color Bamboo, so I decided to use that paper instead. Now, I am also using some sheets of Hammermill, the classic crest. Then also I have here 140-pound cardstock. This is what I use for my card bases. It is super thick. I just love a thick card. So that is what I use for my card bases. And then I also use it for the layering part of a die cut. So we'll be doing some of that also as well today. Now to get started on our project, I'm going to set everything aside and pull out my stamp wheel too, my favorite tool in the shed. And we are going to go ahead and start placing down our cardstock. Now, the stamp set comes with a bunch of sentiments. And I love the sentiments that are in there. A lot of them are thank you type sentiments. I recently had my father pass away and I need a few more cards to send to people. So I decided to make all of these cards thank you cards. People were so gracious for us. So I decided that that is the theme that I'm going to go with for this video. Okay. So I'm just setting up my stamp and I'm not using it for my first stenciling. So we're going to set it aside for just a little while and we're going to go ahead and start stenciling on our paper. So all of the ALTENEW stencils come numbered, as you can see hopefully here in the top corner. And this stencil set happens to have 6 stencils. You do not have to use the stamp set with it. And I'm going to show you that now because it really is gorgeous without it. I am going to tape down my stencil because my paper is a 5.5 by 8.5 piece of paper and my stencil is only 6 inches. So I had to make it fit. Now, these are the colors that I used for mine. I froze it here for you so you can make note of it. I will also have it in the description down below. And I'm going to start with the flowers, and I'm doing 2 colors on this stencil. So I'm starting with the Red Sunset Family Group, as well as the Pocket Full of Sunshine Family Group. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the lightest color from each of the groups. So this one is Blush. And I'm just very quickly, very easily going ahead and throwing down some color. It is going to look splotchy. That is okay because no one's going to know it's going to look splotchy because the layers of the stencil are so fabulous. So if you want to take the time and make it look very nice, go for it. But we are making 7 cards today. So I'm going through it quickly. Now I am using some masking tape to mark off some of the holes because I do want them to be yellow. So I'm just, navigating where I want that to go. And I'm going to go ahead and finish putting down the rest of my blush. Once I'm done putting down the blush color, I am going to go ahead and move on to the Citrus Burst. Now, when I do the Citrus Burst, I'm obviously going to fill in the holes that I left blank because I wanted yellow flowers there, but I'm also going to add a little bit on the edges of some of the other flowers just to add in another color without having to pull out another ink pad, right? So just mixed up 2 colors. Now I have like a blush and I have the blush and then I have like a peachy blush. So it's nice. Now I'm going to go ahead and move on to the second one. And the great thing about these stencils, these are so incredibly easy to line up. It's like you set it on and it's like a puzzle. It just all of a sudden falls into place. It's fantastic. So we are going to go ahead and move on to the second color in each of the family groups. So I'm going to start with the rouge and go ahead and fill in all of the colors that I had already done in the blush color. And I'm zippity-doo-dadding all of this video really fast because, again, we have 7 cards to make, and this is a longer video than I normally do. Now, I did take a towel and wiped off some of the extra ink on top of the stencil because I wanted to make sure that my yellow stayed a true yellow for those yellow flowers. So I just made sure that I got any of the rouge ink off of any area that was next to the yellow flowers. But I did add some of the fresh lemon to some of the other flowers that I had already done in a peach color. Now we're moving on to the third stencil. And again, they line up very easily, very quickly. And we're going to go ahead and move on to the next color. So you have guessed it, since we're on stencil 3, we're moving into the third color of the family group. So the third color is from the Red Sunset group is Crimson. And again, we're just going to go over all of those blushy colors that we've already put down, fill those all in with some crimson, and then we'll move on to the Maple Yellow, which I really love this color. It's a bright, deep yellow. It's so pretty. So we're going to go ahead and throw that on there, and we will throw on a little bit so that it's gets a little peach in there, and it looks like I missed one of my flowers, but that's okay. Now there is one little center right there. Do you see it right there in the middle? That's the only one that you need a green color for that, okay? Now we're going to move on to the fourth stencil. And our fourth stencil actually has a little hidden part to it, okay? And I'm going to tell you about it in just a minute. So the fourth stencil, you go ahead and lay it out, and you're going to do all of this in one color. So I'm starting with bamboo, and I'm going to go ahead and put bamboo all over this, this stencil. So it fills in every single space. And as you're doing this, you can put it heavier wherever the petals are going to be behind the flower, or even behind or on top of other ones. So you just want to give it a little variation, but you don't have to go crazy with it. Now, here's the tricky part that I'm going to tell you about. See, I peeled this off. See those 2 little spaces there? I wasn't supposed to fill those in. And if I had looked closely and paid attention, there is a little demarcation where it says, you need to move the stencil to fill this one in. So this is where you actually want to fill this in. But because of the way the stencil is, it stencils a huge, huge panel. It's okay because it will be trimmed off for an A2 card front. Now, if I was going to be making a larger card front, like a 5x7 or a 4x6, that could have been an issue. But I'm only doing A2s, so it's okay. Okay, so we are on to stencil 5, and we are using Parrot. And again, just like the stenciling with the green bamboo, I'm making it heavier behind where any of the petals or leaves are going to be in color, and then I'm going lighter as I work my way out to the end of the petals. Now that the stenciling is done, at least this part, look at how pretty that is. Now this is the stencil that makes the magic. It is going to fill in your background. I haven't seen any other stencils like this from any vendor. Maybe they're out there. I just haven't seen them. But I love this about the stencil. It is so fun. I mean, it literally comes out like printed paper or like wallpaper. It's just so pretty. So I'm obsessed. So I am using my larger blending brush from ALTENEW, but there is this one teeny tiny little flower. You see that right there? Yep, that little teeny tiny flower. You got to be a little careful with that one. I got a little overzealous the last time I used this stamp set or the stencil set, and it got a little bent. But it's okay. So I just hold it down and I work my way around it. All right. Are you guys ready to see the magic? It's so pretty. Look at this. Oh my gosh, I just love it. It would be such a gorgeous wallpaper, wouldn't it? Minus the fact that I missed the stenciling on that one flower on the left-hand side. But it's still gorgeous. All right. So I am going to go ahead and trim this down to an A2 card front. And again, like I said earlier, this can go up to a 5x7. It gives you a nice, like really pretty white border if you do a 5x7, but I'm doing an A2, so I'm slicing this little sucker up. So now that everything is sliced, I am going to go back to my stencils, and with all of that extra ink, because I don't know if you've seen any of my other videos, I hate wasting ink. So I take all of that extra ink and rub it onto a background piece of paper, just a piece of paper. And I'm going to show you a couple more that I'm going to be making throughout the day because I'm doing a lot of stenciling with this stuff. So now I'm going to go ahead and pull back out my stamp wheel, and I already have the stamp ready to go in it. So we are ready to start stamping. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my cardstock, and this is that Hammermill cardstock. And I'm going to start stamping with my first color group, which is going to be the Pocket Full of Sunshine. Now, when you're stamping this, you want to use either the darkest color or the second darkest color. So maple yellow is the second darkest color in that family group. I will stamp it a couple of times because it is a yellow, so I want it to be nice and dark. And I will clean my stamp set in between. So I am doing the Pocket Full of Sunshine family group. Next, I'm doing the Cherry Blossom, then Lapis Lazuli, Tropical Forest, Red Sunset, and also Chasing Shadows, but I used jet black instead. So those are all of my colors, and I'm going to line them up in like a rainbow color because I'm going to be doing the stenciling, and I want to make sure that I'm using the best, combination of stuff, because I'm not necessarily going to use cleaning alcohol between some of the colors, right? So I am going to start off again with the yellow, and I'm starting off with the lightest color on my first stencil. So this is the Citrus Burst, and I'm filling in the full stencil. And then as I'm doing these, I'm going to go ahead and rub off any extra onto a piece of cardstock. Once I've gotten all that extra off, then I'm going to wipe it down with a towel, and I'm going to move on to my green one, right? So for the next one, I'm moving on to green. I'm using the lightest color again, and it's Bamboo, and I will do this throughout all of them. We've got Arctic, we have Pink Diamond, we will have Blush, but on the black one, we're leaving the base color white, all right? And you're gonna see why, because it looks really good if you do it that way. Okay, then you're moving on to the second stencil. You're going to do this second darkest color all the way across the board. Okay, so this was, our fresh lemon and so on and so forth all the way down. Then when you move on to your third layer, you're going to use the third darkest color for your flowers. Okay, so this is the example of the silver lining on the second layer. Okay, so this is like the third layer. I'm using the third darkest color, right? Now, when you get to the fourth stencil, you're going to use the same third level. All right, so this is the fourth stencil, and I'm using blue. There's a reason. And then on your fifth stencil, you're using your fourth color, your darkest color. Okay, that is giving you all of the details of your flowers. Okay, so you see here, these are all of our flowers now done. Aren't they gorgeous? I mean, I love a great monochrome card, okay? But we're not going to go total monochrome on these. So here they all are, all finished, okay? And you're just using, it's all monochrome. Now, these are the rub-off papers that I made, all right? I made 4 extra rub-off papers that I'm going to use one for one of my cards, and the rest of them I'm going to go ahead and set aside and save for another day, okay? Now, this is what I do with my die cuts. You don't have to do this, but because we are making gatefold cards, here we are, I did go ahead and layer my die cuts. Now, a gatefold is a half of a front. So it is 2 1/8 inches where you want to put your score line, and you fold them in, and there you have, there's your gatefold. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? I'm also going to go ahead and add some texture to my back panels, okay? So I'm starting off with the new Patchwork Pathways, and I love this stamp set, or this die set. Look at how cute you can make these. I mean, is that say spring or what? Just so bright and cheery. I really like that die set. But we are going to just use the background. So this is the background die set just to add a little texture to some of our backgrounds. So I'm doing this on chamomile, and I will run it through my die machine, and then I'm also going to do it on Puffy Heart. For my next 2 colors, I'm going to be using an embossing folder, and I'll be using Tufted Elegance. I have an impress, so I use 1 clear plate, 1 metal shim, and then the magnet shim in there as well. I did that for 2 colors, and then I moved on to intricate tiles, and I did that for the rest of my papers. So you can see here are all of my papers, all embossed and die cut. Aren't they pretty? I love them. So we're going to set these aside, and we're going to go ahead and start cutting them to fit on the fronts of our gatefold cards. You want to cut them at 2 1/8. Okay, so you're gonna just go ahead and slide your paper into your whatever you use to cut paper. You know, I like a guillotine. I don't know, some people like those slidey ones, but I like a guillotine. And you're gonna cut it at 2 1/8, all of your papers, and you will adhere them to the front of your cards. I like to use the ALTENEW tape runner. I make sure that I have a strip down each side, all the way around all 4 corners, and then like 2 or 3 strips in the middles. Now, sometimes, things don't line up correctly. I like to try and line mine up along the fold, and then usually the centers come together perfectly. That's just how I do it. I don't know. If there's a better way to do it, do it your way. But that's just how I do it. See, look, it lines up perfect. Can't beat it. I also decided to cut out some frames, and this is the ornate nesting die set. And I am also stamping out some of my sentiments, and I am using the stamps from the stamp set, from the One Go Friendship Floors stamp set, right? Stamp and stencil set. So this is what I'm using for my sentiments. And like I said earlier, they're all thank you. Well, not all of them, but a lot of them are thank yous, which is perfect for the situation that I'm in. I'm going to go ahead and die cut them all out. And I'm using one of my other favorite die sets, the featured sentiments die sets. So these are just little ways to cut out your sentiment strips. And they come in different lengths and different widths and different corners. I mean, they're really versatile. I use them all the time. They're my go-to, okay? So for this card, I am going to go ahead and use one of those frames that I cut out from the ornate nesting die set. Can I spit that out? And I am going to just do a little ink blending. I'm going to use the colors that I use for the flowers. So I have a little blush on one side, and then on the other side, I will add just a little bit of the citrus burst. That way in the middle, it has that little peachy color, right? So I'm going to go ahead and adhere this with some foam adhesive. And when you're doing this, you obviously don't want to put it on both sides so that it, sticks to the other side. But a way you can solve that is just to add a second piece to the inside. You can even stamp a sentiment on it. I chose not to. And I am using now the new ALTENEW glue, which I love. I love this bottle because it doesn't come out super fast. And here's a little tip. You know the little rubber piece and that thing always hangs in your way when you're trying to put down glue? Slide it into the big hole, okay? And have a little loop. And then all you have to do is pull it out to put it over the top, and it gets tucked back. See? And then when you're done, you just slide it up and bloop, put it right over the top, and there you have it. I do it on all of my little glue bottles. But anyway, I'm assembling the sentiments, and I'm going to put this on the front, getting it all laid out. Very pretty. And I have to, of course, add some beautiful sparkles. Okay, so I'm using the gem sparkles, and I am using the citrine color for the yellow. And then on the red ones, I am using the red jasper. I happen to have both of those, but I have a solution if you don't have different colors like I do. Okay, so I'll cover that later in the video. Now, here it is, all finished. Isn't it cute? Very simple on the front because I really want that pattern to shine on the background. And I mean, that'll be a great one for me to send to people, right? Now I'm going to go ahead and start assembling my other ones. And I like contrasting colors on my cards. So I tend to often go with opposite colors of the color wheel. Now, yellow and like green, blue aren't exactly opposite. They're more analogous type of colors, but I like a stark difference between the two. Okay, so I'm going to show you all the ones I put together. So for the black one, I went with one of my multicolored backgrounds. and I went ahead and glued them all down. The red one, I went on to the Lagoon. I mean, that one's not my favorite, but I really do kind of like, the difference. Now, the green ones and the pink ones are my favorite, especially the one with the bamboo background. Oh, so pretty. Then I went with the yellow, and that was on the Volcano Lake one. And then last but not least, the blue. That's definitely the contrasting colors, but that is on the orange chamomile. Now, if you have a gatefold and you're using super thick cardstock like I am, this is how I solve that problem. I just give it a little wiggle, and it makes them lay flatter. Now, here is my trick for getting gems the color that matches your stuff. Buy the ones that are crystal clear. Just use an alcohol marker. You can even use a Sharpie if you don't have alcohol markers, okay? Get it so that it matches it. So I used Parrot for this one. If you use the lightest color in the alcohol markers, it doesn't get as dark, but it works. Okay, so here I even used the red crimson for making those gems. And right there, ultramarine. Yep, it's so easy. So now I have gems that will match every project that I make, right? Just use your alcohol markers. It doesn't come off. You want to just give it a little minute for it to dry. Otherwise, it dulls down when you push your finger down on it to stick. But I really like how the multicolored one with the gray flowers came out. It's so pretty. Chef's kiss on that one. And there's my original wallpaper one that I wish I had in my bathroom. And then this one, even though I love the color combination, I don't like the layout that I did. Not my favorite layout, but I love the color combination on that one. And this one is super cute. That one just makes me happy. Okay. And again, then I have another pink and green. And if you see closely, I used some of the glitter cardstock for behind the sentiments. Yes, I did, because I'm a sparkle girl. And here I have 3 more panels from our leftover inks that I can use on any card in the future. All right, that is my video for today. I thank you all so very much for being here. And I'm sorry it's a day late, but, I had technical issues this week. So thank you again for being here. Be sure to check out ALTENEW so you can see all of the products. I will have links below in the description. And I hope you all have a fantastic, colorful day. Bye.